Here we go live now to 7 on your side's Quentis Jones. Good morning, Quentis. What can you tell us?
Hey Miranda, we're still in downtown Hattiesburg at Veterans Memorial Park, where in just a few hours they will begin their 31st annual Memorial Day services. Now, as you know, people all across the country and right here in the Pine Belt will pause to remember all of the brave men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country's freedom. That's right, guys, tax season is now underway, but before you rush off to file your taxes, do you know how easy it is for identity thieves to steal your tax refund? I can tell you right now that the snow has picked up tremendously in this area. If you take a look around me, the snow has blanketed the entire area. In tonight's top story, Train from Bowie tells us what areas are open and what still needs to be done before the guests arrive. There have been 4 fatal crimes in the Jackson metro area in the last 5 days. That's why leaders from the Jackson Police Department met here to find ways to combat crime. The people who live in this community tell me they suffered major damage in last month's tornado, but have received no federal assistance, and they want to know why. With the new push to fully implement Common Core standards in Mississippi schools, these educators at this learning center say that push begins right here. With the click of the mouse and a stroke of the key, all of your personal information could be at risk. So once you log onto their website, make sure that it's secure. Jones County emergency management officials are keeping their eyes to the sky tonight as another round of severe weather threatens the area. The sun is out now, but all of that is expected to change overnight. We'll tell you what you can expect coming up in a live report. That's right, Mike. Bullying is one of the biggest problems that kids face today, but now it can be done right behind a computer screen. With hurricane season just days away, what you need to do to keep you and your family safe is coming up next.
In this morning's safety alerts, our Quentis Jones joins us now with one father's story.
That's right, guys. Officer Alan Weatherford worked for years as a DUI officer in Gulfport, but he never expected to be called to the scene of someone so near and dear to his heart. Deanna Tucker was an outgoing mother, daughter, and sister.
Deanna was very outspoken. She was a makeup artist, did real well in high school, had a good head on her shoulders.
Deanna was my best friend. We did everything together.
At 29 years old, she was full of life and just a few weeks away from getting married. But all of that was cut short nearly 3 years ago when she was killed by a drunk driver.
I had just hung up with our daughter about just a few minutes before the actual crash.
She was leaving a bridal store with her 5-year-old son when a drunk driver slammed into her car.
She was shutting the door. That's when the vehicle left the roadway and struck the side of her vehicle, pinning her between her vehicle and the truck, crushing her.
Her father and former Gulfport Police Chief Alan Weatherford was leaving his office when he received that call. He rushed to the scene to be by her side.
I talked to her. I talked to her in the ambulance. I talked to her in the trauma room. And she kept telling me she couldn't breathe, that she wanted to set up, and she asked for her mama several times. I just thought everything was going to be okay.
But sadly, Deanna died 6 hours later during surgery.
Life's not the same. It's every time you go somewhere or you see something that it's like being ambushed, and you may just want to sit down and cry right there. And my wife does it quite often, and it's people just don't understand unless they've been there and they've been through it.
Daryl Blappert was driving the car that killed Deanna. He had a blood alcohol level of nearly double the legal limit.
I want to be honest. Made a mistake. I had a couple beers and got behind the wheel. I asked myself every day if it still would have happened if I would have never drank. But all I know is that I made a mistake.
Since this horrible ordeal, Officer Weatherford and his family uses this tragedy to tell others why you should never drink and drive.
If you drink any amount, don't chance it, don't drive. Our grandbaby has a lifetime sentence. A sentence without his mama. It just breaks your heart to see that a child has to go without his mama because of something that could totally been prevented.
All right, thank you so much, Colonel Smith. Now, we do want to remind everyone that today's services will begin at 9 a.m., not at 10 a.m. as they have in years past, so everyone is invited to attend. Do you ever wonder why your child spends so much time clicking away at the cell phone? Here's a guess. They're probably on some form of social media. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat, it all may seem like harmless fun, but do you always know who's on the other side of that screen?
I think the biggest concern about children and social media is that those strangers aren't always what they portray themselves to be.
Some of those strangers could be online predators.
I think predators are probably out there every day, all the time.
In fact, a number of sex offenders are actually drawn to social media, and some of them could be using the sites to lure in your child.
Predators are looking to prey and get something for themselves. So what's important on social media is to be sure you never look vulnerable or needy, because if you look like you need something, a predator is going to find you and affect that.
This woman, whose identity we won't reveal, told our Memphis affiliate she was shocked and outraged when she walked in and saw this man in bed with her 15-year-old son. They met online.
He wanted to say he didn't know, but there's no way he did not know he was messing with a child, you know. And if I had a gun, I'd have probably been down there because I would have shot him.
And then there was this woman who pretended to be her 12-year-old daughter to see who her friends were on social media. One guy, well, he wasn't a friend at all. And just listen at the messages he thought he was sending to a child.
He was being very explicit about what he wanted done, which is and the positions and things that a 12-year-old has no knowledge of.
Patricia Calabrese is a psychiatric nurse practitioner. She says parents are often in the dark when it comes to cases like this because most of them can't even use social media.
Clearly, some older parents who grew up without social media are at a disadvantage. That doesn't mean we can't learn it, though, because it can be learned.
She says the best way parents can learn social media is to do it with their child.
A parent who's completely unaware of how social media works, I advise them to get a Facebook site, an Instagram site of their own. Work it themselves before they allow their 10-year-old or 11-year-old to go on.
And one of the biggest concerns is kids don't always know the consequences of posting personal information online.
Giving out personal information, talking about their phone number or their email address, or even where they are physically, will welcome a predator maybe to come find them.
Severe weather.